Welcome to Percolating Change, the podcast where we brew better outcomes one sip at a time. I'm Alicia James, and today I'm chatting with Monica Calinescu about the importance of enabling frontline managers during change and what happens when we leave them out. Monica is an award-winning change manager with a passion for human-centered transformation, engaging storytelling, and creative content. Monica, welcome. What is your one sentence to set the coffee table?
Thank you so much for having me, Alicia. I would say if you're rolling out change without thinking about your frontline managers, your line managers, you're already behind.
Amen to that. Can I ask you, Monica, who's this for and why now?
I would definitely say that this is for change practitioners. So, change managers, heads of change, but also HR leaders, people who work in L&D, senior leaders and sponsors as well, who want their change efforts to actually land and to see a return on investment. I think, change has never been this fast, yet it will never be this slow again. And right now, so many organizations are pushing through so many changes. But if our line managers are brought in early and supported properly, along with those impacted by the change, we risk a lot of confusion, fatigue, anxiety, or even burnout because our managers are not in the loop with what's going on. And they're not able to articulate the vision for the change or the vision for the future for what that organization is going to look like. And I think, when that happens, even the best strategy is going to fall flat.
I agree. And I guess, Monica, you've already leaned into it a little bit more, but could you lean in even more and give me an example that will reflect what you just said?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's incredibly important that we look at research as well and what is telling us.
Mhm.
And that is the fact that our line managers are one of the most trusted voices in
Mhm.
organizations when it comes to change. Because one, they're the ones articulating the vision. They're the ones delivering the key messages that we as change managers put together on what's going to change, what's staying the same. But also they're the ones, doing the one-to-ones, answering those tricky, challenging questions from people, calming their worries, addressing their concerns, doing all of that while managing BAU, business as usual activities as well. But the problem is they're often left out of our stakeholder analysis,
Mhm.
or we engage with them way too late.
Very true.
And I've seen it more times than I can count in organizations when, someone from another team approached, a line manager and asked them about, a change that is happening. And they had to sadly fake their way through that conversation. And I
Wow.
think that's exactly how we break the trust and risk the success of the change.
You're absolutely correct, because as change managers, we're facilitating the change. We're not actually leading those people through the change. They look up to their managers, they respect their managers. And if we don't support them or enable them, as you've said quite rightly, to facilitate the change themselves on behalf of their teams, we're leaving them at a disadvantage.
I couldn't agree more, Alicia. Like, how do we expect them to be able to take those impacted by the change directly on the journey and create alignment and acceptance when, frankly, we haven't done that for them?
Exactly. I guess if someone was joining tomorrow, if one of our listeners was joining tomorrow, what are maybe 1 to 3 practical things you will suggest?
Um, I would definitely suggest that it's important to look at creating a change portfolio. It's
Mhm.
really good to start with visibility to map out, what's currently happening right now and what's coming in the next 3 months, let's say.
Mm.
And I think it's important that we do that by categorizing changes into different types of changes. So whether it's like digital, cultural, strategy deployment, change in the ways of working, but also looking at the groups of people who are going to be impacted. And that can be done by department, but also what level of work is expected from those people. Who are the SMEs that are going to be needed, and what time is required from them, to make sure that we're not expecting those people to end up working at 300% capacity. CPM is a really good thing, change portfolio management, that can be employed to help with creating that. The second advice would be to bring those line managers into the conversation early. I think it's really important that we don't just inform people, but we engage with them. And I think we've seen it time and time again that, pushing changes onto people doesn't work at all. But what does work is taking them on a journey and co-creating change with them.
Absolutely.
And also giving them the tools that they need to lead change, give them the training. The role of the manager has changed massively. They're no longer spending, 90% of their time on the operational side of things. Now they're probably spending half of their time or even more focusing on how to lead change. And I think that needs to be recognized in the leadership or management development programs that we develop for our managers.
Definitely, yeah. That's definitely an education piece, isn't it? Because it's not just the change managers coming in and doing that. It needs to be a top down as well. And as you say, having that already instilled as part of the onboarding or the change portfolio office assisting and providing guidance around that is definitely important, critical thing. I like the way
Yeah.
you joined this all up, actually. Thank you so much. Tell me, Monica, what is one thing you might do differently if you had the opportunity? I think I know what you're going to say, but I'm asking you anyway.
Thank you. I think I would definitely make sure that we engage managers earlier in the design process, not just in the delivery stage. I
Yeah,
think their insights are incredibly important and can help us shape better solutions. Because when they feel part of that process, they become true advocates, and we enable them to take people who are actually impacted by the journey, by the change on the journey with them.
yeah, you're so right. Because even as a change manager, back in the day, I've been doing it for 100 years, but back in the day, people will still question the fact that you'd want to attend certain meetings. And it's too technical, Alicia. You don't need to be there, but that's just part of the groundwork for my learning. And
Absolutely.
it's the same as you've just reiterated for line managers. They need to be there at the design stage because they are the best ones to actually say, oh, I recognise that. Oh, we're not doing that anymore. Oh, why aren't we doing that anymore? Oh, that's good. I'm so glad we're not doing that anymore. A whole range of things that makes them become, more influential with their teams as well. I
Exactly.
really like that.
What a beautiful word you picked, influential. That's exactly it.
Yeah, thank you. Now, what about one challenge to watch over the next 6 to 12 months? What are your views in possibly in this context?
I think I would definitely say, burnout, anxiety, stress is probably only going to increase, especially with what's going on in the world. So, external factors, but
Mm,
also what's happening in the workplace. And I'm talking about, continued tech rollouts,
mm,
AI restructures, but also competing priorities as well.
mm.
And if we don't support our line managers, with the training that they need, with giving them a joined up view of what changes are happening and what's going to impact their teams directly, we're going to lose the trust of the people that we need the most to make change successful.
Absolutely agrees. That single view of change is so important, isn't it? You
Yeah,
know, our one little project, but the one little project is like 5 times, impacting others, same person, multiple times, just different ways. So having a single view of change and equipping our managers with this information and not just randomly as it would appear. It's not random, of course, but as a line manager, it would appear as though no thought has gone into it. No, so
Exactly.
absolutely agree. Thank
Exactly. And
you.
I feel like as change managers, we spend probably 100% or 90% or 70% of our time on that change. Our managers have to juggle multiple changes, probably a minimum of 10 at the same time.
Exactly. And as you've said earlier, it is decreasing, increasing, not decreasing. And it's not
Yeah.
like either. We're coming to the end of our little session here, Monica, but what is a myth you would like to bust if you were given the opportunity to do that?
I think I would definitely say, the myth is middle managers or line managers are the blockers to change. I think the truth is they're not blockers. They're just incredibly overwhelmed by the sheer amount of change happening and how, we're not streamlining our messaging and they're under supported. So I think, if we help them, they're going to help us land that change and see, a return on investment and the benefits being realized.
Exactly. And making them feel confident and not inferior or silly or, as you mentioned earlier on in the conversation, you watched a particular manager fake it through a question. That's not good. And no one
No,
wants to feel that way. So the more we help our line managers streamline messages, be consistent, having that one vision, that one statement that means the same thing in different languages for everybody, that's where, we'll see better outcomes and faster outcomes and better adoption. I'm totally convinced of that.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Monica. How can people get in touch with you? How can people get in touch with you on?
Thank you so much for having me. People can connect with me on LinkedIn. I love sharing practical tips and resources there. And if they're looking to learn more about how to engage with line managers, change leadership, inclusive change, give me a follow on LinkedIn.
I am going to back what Monica has just said because I approached Monica because I just loved listening to what Monica had to say there. It's playful, it's insightful. There's so many insights that Monica shares on a regular basis. So I know that our listeners are going to get such a lot out of this. Thank you so much for coming. That's it
Thank
for today's
you.
sip of percolating change. If you have liked this session, please by all means like and subscribe and look out for other short episodes.
Thank you
Thank you
so
so
much for
much.
having me.
It's my pleasure.